My own father, Arthur, pointed at the door and said, "You don't belong here anymore." The whole family, all 23 of them, my mother, my older brother Ben and his wife and kids, my sister Chloe and her husband and kids, and all my cousins just watched as he threw me out of Christmas dinner like I was some stranger off the street. What they didn't know was that for the past 3 years, I'd been paying for the very life they were so proud of. Hi, I'm Lena, and I'm 28 years old. For most of my life, I thought being the quiet one in the family meant being the invisible one. While my siblings got the attention, the praise, and the family spotlight, I focused on building something real. I got into tech consulting, saved every dollar I could, and slowly built a small investment portfolio that grew into something substantial. I wasn't flashy about it. No expensive cars, no designer clothes. I lived in a simple apartment and drove a 10-year-old Honda. But what my family never realized was that their Christmas dinners, their vacation rentals, their emergency car repairs, their medical bills, I had been covering most of it for the past 3 years. I did it quietly, transferring money when they needed it, never asking for credit. I thought love meant helping without keeping score. I thought being family meant they'd treat me with basic respect, even if they didn't know the full extent of what I contributed. But I was wrong. The Christmas dinner started normally enough. Mom, Eleanor, had texted the family group chat 3 weeks earlier about hosting at their house. She mentioned money was tight this year and hinted that we might do something smaller. Within an hour, I had quietly transferred her $2,000 with a simple note. For Christmas, dinner, and decorations. Love you. She never acknowledged the money directly, just texted back a heart emoji. When I arrived that evening, the house looked beautiful. Expensive decorations were everywhere. A massive spread of food, with premium bottles of wine on the table. The smell of roasted turkey filled the air. My siblings were already there with their families, and everyone seemed relaxed and happy. "Lena," Mom called out when I walked in. "Come help me in the kitchen." I spent the next hour helping her plate food and set the table while Ben and Chloe sat in the living room watching football. The sound of their laughter drifted into the kitchen. Just normal family dynamics. I was used to it, but when we all sat down for dinner, something felt different. Dad looked tense. Ben kept glancing at him like they were sharing some secret. Chloe was unusually quiet, picking at her mashed potatoes. "So," Dad said, clearing his throat after we'd been eating for about 10 minutes. "I've been thinking about something." The table went quiet. Even the kids stopped talking. "Lena, I know you think you're doing well for yourself, but the truth is, you're holding this family back." I stopped chewing. The piece of turkey in my mouth suddenly felt like cardboard. "What do you mean?" "Your attitude," he continued, his voice sharp. "Your independence, the way you never really contribute to family events but show up expecting to be treated equally." My heart started pounding. "Dad, I don't understand." Ben jumped in. "We've all talked about it. You're almost 30, still single, still renting, still acting like you're better than the rest of us." "I've never said I was better than anyone." "You don't have to say it," Chloe added. "It's obvious. The way you dress down when you come here, like you're slumming it. The way you never offer to help financially when Mom and Dad are struggling." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "Help financially? I literally..." "What?" Dad interrupted. "You literally what? Buy a bottle of wine sometimes?" "Lena, Ben just got promoted to management. Chloe and Tom just bought their second rental property. They're building something. You're just existing." The room was completely silent, except for the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. The weight of their stares felt crushing. Then, Dad said the words that changed everything. "I think it would be better if you didn't come to family gatherings anymore. At least until you figure out how to be a real contributing member of this family." The humiliation was complete. 23 people at that table, including children, all staring at me like I was a disappointment they'd finally decided to acknowledge. I sat there for what felt like an hour, but was probably only 30 seconds, looking around at faces I'd known my entire life. Nobody defended me, not one person. Not my mother, who I'd been quietly supporting, not my aunt, who knew my life better than anyone else. Not even my cousin Rose, who was a financial advisor and surely had to see something was off. The silence was deafening. "Are you serious right now?" I finally managed to ask, my voice a shaky whisper. "Lena, don't make this harder than it needs to be," Mom said softly, not meeting my eyes. "Maybe some time apart would be good for everyone." I stood up slowly, my legs shaking. "Time apart would be good?" "Exactly," Ben said, a smug look on his face. "No hard feelings, just..." "No," I interrupted, my voice finding a sudden, unexpected strength. "Time apart would be good, because then you'll finally understand what I actually contribute to this family." Dad scoffed. "What you contribute? Lena, what do you contribute?" a bottle of wine and an awkward silence? I looked directly at him, a fire igniting inside me. Ask Mom where the money for this dinner came from. Ask her where the money for your new roof came from last spring. Ask Ben where the money for his son's soccer camp fees came from. The table shifted uncomfortably, but Dad wasn't backing down. Even if that's true, throwing money around doesn't make you family. Family shows up. Family participates. You just write checks and disappear. I show up to everything, I shot back, the frustration boiling over. You show up and sit quietly in the corner like you're too good to engage with us, he retorted. I felt tears starting to well up, but pushed them back fiercely. I show up and nobody talks to me. I try to engage and get ignored. I offer to help and get told everything's handled. Because you make everything awkward, Chloe said, her voice rising. You have this energy like you're judging us. I have never judged any of you. You judge us by existing, Ben added, leaning forward. By being this mysterious person who thinks she's different and special. You make us feel less than. The conversation was spiraling, getting more cruel by the minute. But the breaking point came when my 8-year-old nephew looked up from his plate and asked innocently, "Why is Aunt Lena crying?" Dad looked at him and said, "Sometimes adults have to make hard decisions, buddy. Aunt Lena needs to learn some lessons about being part of a family." Using my nephew to justify humiliating me was the final straw. It was a calculated, vicious move. My facade of calm shattered. I picked up my purse and coat, my hands trembling. You want to know what I contribute? You want to know who I really am? Give it 2 weeks. You'll figure it out. Lena, don't be dramatic. Mom called as I headed toward the door. I'm not being dramatic, I said, not turning back. I'm being practical. You want me gone? I'm gone. The last thing I heard as I left was Ben saying, "She'll be back. She always comes back." But this time was different. This time I had something they didn't know about, a financial and emotional ledger I'd been keeping. They were about to learn exactly what happens when you humiliate the person who's been keeping your life afloat. I spent the drive home making a mental list. Every bank transfer, every emergency payment, every quiet contribution I'd made over the past 3 years. The vacation rental in Florida that Mom said was a gift from Uncle Jerry? That was my $3,500. The new furnace in their basement? My $4,200. Ben's wife's medical bills when their insurance denied coverage? My $8,000. Chloe's down payment assistance when they bought their first house? My $12,000 that she told everyone came from her savings. They wanted to know what I contributed. They were about to find out in the most definitive way possible. When I got home, a chilling calm settled over me. I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop, the screen illuminating my face in the dark room. I had some calls to make and some accounts to close. If they wanted to treat me like I was nothing, they were about to discover what nothing actually looked like. But first, I did something I'd never done before. I took screenshots every transfer, every bank wire, every payment I'd made on their behalf. 3 years of financial records showing exactly how much nothing I contributed to their lives. Emma, the quiet one, was done being quiet. What they didn't know was that quiet didn't mean poor. While they assumed I was struggling because I lived simply, the truth was I'd been building wealth steadily since I was 22. My tech consulting business had grown from freelance projects to corporate contracts worth 6 figures. My investment portfolio had quietly grown to over $400,000. I owned 3 rental properties in different states that generated passive income every month. I drove an old Honda because new cars lost value. I lived in a modest apartment because I was saving for the right house to buy in cash. I wore simple clothes because expensive labels were a waste of money that could be invested instead. My family mistook my frugality for failure. They also didn't know about the folder on my laptop labeled Family Support 2022 to 2025. Every transaction was meticulously documented. Every time one of them called with an emergency, I'd quietly transferred money and kept the receipts. Not because I planned to use it against them someday, but because I was naturally organized about my finances. What they really didn't know was that their comfortable lifestyle had been partially subsidized by me for years. Dad's confident speeches about Ben's success? Ben's last 2 promotions happened because his company expanded after landing a client I'd referred to them. Chloe's second rental property? The down payment came from money I'd loaned her, which she told everyone came from her business profits. Mom's relaxed attitude about money despite Dad's salary barely covering their mortgage? She'd gotten used to mysterious deposits appearing in her account whenever things got tight. They thought I was the family disappointment because I wasn't loud about my achievements. They were about to learn that the quiet person in the room is sometimes the one holding all the power. But more than that, they were about to discover that respect isn't something you can withdraw and redeposit whenever it's convenient. They thought removing me from the family was their decision to make. I said it out loud to my empty apartment. They were wrong about that too. The next morning, my phone started ringing at 7 a.m. It was my cousin, Rose, who had been at dinner but had stayed quiet during the confrontation. "Lena, what the hell happened last night after you left?" she asked, her voice tight with anger. I explained everything while she listened in silence. "I can't believe they said that to you," she said once I finished. "I wanted to speak up, but honestly, I was in shock. That was so out of line." "It doesn't matter now," I said. "I'm done." "What do you mean, done?" I paused, then decided to trust her. Rose had always been different from the rest of the family. She worked as a financial advisor and understood money in a way the others didn't. "Rose, can I ask you something? When you look at my parents' lifestyle, does their spending match what you know about Dad's salary?" She was quiet for a moment. "Now that you mention it, no. I've always wondered how they afford some of the things they do. Why?" I sent her screenshots of 3 years' worth of transfers. Her response came back in all caps. "Lena? What the hell?" We talked for 2 hours. Rose helped me understand something I hadn't fully realized. I wasn't just giving them money for emergencies. I had been enabling a lifestyle they couldn't actually afford, which made them feel financially secure enough to criticize me. "They've been living above their means because you've been their safety net," Rose explained. "And now they resent you for it because it threatens their narrative about being successful." That afternoon, Rose called me back with information I wasn't expecting. "Lena, I did some digging. Ben's promotion that he's so proud of? His company is downsizing. He's probably going to be laid off within 6 months. I felt a cold wave of confirmation wash over me. "And Chloe's second rental property? She's behind on the mortgage payments and hasn't found tenants yet. The bank's been calling her, but she's been dodging them. And your parents? They refinanced their house last year, and their payment went up significantly. They were barely making it before Christmas." The picture was becoming clearer. They hadn't just humiliated me for no reason. They'd humiliated me because they were scared, financially insecure, and filled with a deep-seated panic. I represented everything they wished they could be, but weren't. My quiet success was a glaring, unspoken indictment of their struggles. "Lena," Rose said seriously, her voice dropping, "I think they were trying to drive you away before you figured out how much trouble they're actually in. Because if you knew, you'd either feel obligated to help even more, or you'd realize they've been using you all along." That was the moment I knew I had more power in the situation than I had ever realized. "Rose, can you do me a favor? Can you not tell anyone what I've told you, but keep your eyes open for what happens in the next 2 weeks?" "What are you planning?" she asked, a note of concern in her voice. "Nothing dramatic," I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. "I'm just going to stop doing what I've been doing and see what happens." "Lena, that's going to cause some serious problems for them." "I know," I said. "That's the point." The calls started on the 3rd of January. First, it was Mom, her voice tight with panic. "Lena, honey, I need to talk to you about something. There's been some kind of banking error, and our automatic payment for the mortgage didn't go through. Can you look at it?" I let it go to voicemail. Then Ben called. Hey, weird question, but did you change your phone number? I tried to send you a payment request for Jackson's school registration fees, and it said your account was unavailable." Voicemail. Then Dad called, his voice different than I'd ever heard it, worried, unsure, almost meek. "Lena, we need to talk. There have been some complications with our finances, and I think we need your help figuring out what happened." I answered that one. "Hi, Dad." "Lena, thank God. Listen, we're having some issues." "What kind of issues?" "Well, several of our automatic payments have been declined, and we can't figure out why. The bank says there should be sufficient funds, but then when we try to transfer money from our savings account, there's not as much there as we thought." I waited, letting the silence hang between us, thick and heavy. "Lena, are you there?" he finally asked. "I'm here. Can you help us? You're good with financial stuff." The irony was breathtaking. "Dad, do you remember what you said to me at Christmas dinner?" A long pause. "Lena, that was family business. This is different. This is an emergency." "What you said was that I don't contribute to this family. What you said was that I should figure out how to be a real contributing member. What you said was that I shouldn't come to family gatherings until I learned some lessons." My voice was a steady, emotionless stream of facts. "Lena, please. We can talk about that later. Right now we really need." "What you said was that I'd just throw money around and disappear." Another pause. "Did you? Lena, did you do something to our accounts?" "I didn't do anything to your accounts, Dad. I stopped doing something for your accounts." "What do you mean, you stopped doing something?" he stammered, his voice filled with a dawning horror. I mean, every automatic payment that's failing that was money coming from me? Every mysterious deposit in Mom's account when things got tight? That was me. Every time Ben's credit card mysteriously got paid down before it maxed out? Me. Every time Chloe's loans got paid early? Also me. The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought he'd hung up. Then I heard a muffled sound, like air being sucked out of a room, and Mom's frantic voice in the background. Arthur, what did she say? Lena, how long has this been going on? He finally managed to ask, his bravado completely gone. 3 years, Dad. 3 years of me contributing to this family in the most direct way possible, while you all convinced yourselves I was the failure. You were busy talking about Ben and Chloe's success, completely blind to the fact that I was the one propping them up. I heard him talking to Mom in the background, a panicked, disbelieving whisper. Lena, we didn't know, if you had told us. If I had told you, what would have happened? I interrupted. You would have either felt guilty and rejected the help, or you would have started expecting it and treated me like your personal bank account. Instead, I helped quietly and let you keep your pride. But now your pride is all you have left. But, Lena, we can't afford. How much money are we talking about? I opened the folder on my laptop, the numbers a stark and irrefutable reality. In the last 3 years, I've contributed $47,000 to various family expenses. That breaks down to about $1,300 per month in support that you didn't know you were receiving. The sound on the other end was a broken gasp. $47,000? Yes, $47,000, Dad. From the daughter who doesn't contribute anything, from the daughter who just throws money around, the daughter who needed to learn some lessons about being family. Lena, oh my God, we had no idea. His voice cracked. Please, we need to talk about this. Can you come over? To what? I asked, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. Another family gathering where I don't belong? Lena, please, we were wrong. You were right. Dad, you kicked me out of the family. I'm honoring your decision. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. Ben, then Chloe, then Mom, then Dad again. I let them all go to voicemail. They were about to learn what it felt like when the quiet one finally spoke. The voicemails kept coming for 3 days. First they were angry, then confused, then desperate, and finally, truly apologetic. I listened to all of them, but didn't respond. Ben's wife called crying, explaining they were going to lose their house without help with the mortgage payment. Chloe sent a long text admitting she'd been struggling financially for months and didn't know what to do. Mom sent a large bouquet of flowers to my apartment with a note that just said, "Please call me." But it was Dad's final voicemail that changed everything. His voice was broken, exhausted, and full of a profound humility I'd never heard from him before. Lena, I know I have no right to ask for anything. What we said to you was unforgivable. What we didn't know was even worse. You've been the most generous person in our family for years, and we treated you like you were the problem. I don't expect you to forgive us. But I need you to know that we're sorry, and we understand now what we lost when we lost you. For the first time in my life I felt like my father actually saw me. The quiet daughter who never asked for credit finally got the recognition she deserved all along. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop doing what you've always done. Sometimes, love means setting boundaries, even with family. If you've ever been the one who gives everything and gets nothing back, if you've ever been underestimated by the people who should know you best, I want to hear your story. Drop your location in the comments and tell me, have you ever had to show someone your worth by walking away? Your story matters, and this community is here for it. Hit subscribe if you're ready to stop being invisible.